voice of Indiana County, WCCS 101.1 FM, AM 1160, and WCCSradio.com. He is State Representative Jim Struzzi in the studio with us this morning in our conversation brought to you by Marcus & Mack, voted best personal injury law firm in the Best of Indiana County contest. Marcus & Mack, a law firm representing injured people. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Todd, and thanks for having me.
My goodness, it is an interesting summer. Yeah. Boy, is it an interesting summer. First of all, who the heck is in charge of the State House of Representatives with the split now? It's even, isn't it?
It is. Right now, currently, it's 101 to 101 with 101 Democrats, 101 Republicans due to the vacancy in Allegheny County in that House seat. That will be a special election coming up here, I believe, on September 19th. So right now, we're evenly split. However, the House Democrats still have control of the House based on how the rules were set up at the beginning of session, which is a whole other story I'll save for another day. But essentially right now they have control of the Speaker's office. They have control of the Majority Leader and all of the committee chairs. So they are running the show in Harrisburg right now.
Yeah, and one would anticipate that an Allegheny County seat is probably going to go to a Democrat anyway.
Yeah, most likely.
But that being the case, you have a ton of things that you have would have liked to have gotten done, and there's basically nothing happening with them right now because you can't get them moving.
Yeah, and I've expressed this publicly just last week at the Chamber's Eggs and Issues Breakfast. It's very frustrating for me because this is my 5th year as a state representative, and I have been very, very productive moving legislation, getting legislation passed into laws. I have 19 bills right now that I've introduced this session, 3 resolutions. Only one of them has moved out of committee, and that is a bill that I think is bipartisan by nature. It extends the Act 91 flexibilities for hiring teachers and annuitants, which is very important to all of our school districts. So I worked with the majority and minority chairs in the Education Committee, and I worked with the Majority Leader to get that bill moved out of the House into the Senate, and I'm working now with my colleagues in the Senate to hopefully move that to the governor so it can be signed into law. But that is a piece of legislation I think that everyone can support. But to me, it's very frustrating that we aren't in Harrisburg meeting right now. As you know, the Senate met last week to move some of the code bills that are needed to continue the budget process. We haven't been back since July, the first week of July. There was nothing scheduled for the House of Representatives until September 26th, and that is even tentative right now given the special election that's coming up in September. And you have to ask yourself why. And it's, to be blunt, it's purely political. They want to maintain the majority, and they don't want to do anything until they maintain that majority. And I think that's wrong. Pennsylvanians want more, our residents want more, our constituents want more, and they deserve more. We should be in Harrisburg working on legislation that helps Pennsylvania. We should be moving these budget bills forward, negotiating, and I don't think that's even occurring in the discussions that I've had with our appropriations chair, and I'm on appropriations, as well as the minority leader, Representative Brian Cutler. We aren't having those conversations in the House. And if we're not having those conversations with the majority leader, with the Democratic appropriations chair, with the Speaker, then what's going to happen when we go back? Nothing. We're not going to be able to negotiate these bills, and that's part of the process that I've embraced over the past 4 years. That we work together, we come to some consensus on. Not everybody's going to get what they want, but we move things forward and we deliver for Pennsylvania. And right now, that is not happening. It is extremely frustrating to me.
Yeah, I want to get to that budget conversation in a second. But of all of those bills that you've introduced that are just languishing right now, what to you are the most important? I know you look at a list of things that you've proposed and you say, well, this one I really want to see go.
Sure.
What are the ones that you really want to see moving that would do the best?
Well, just looking at the list, Todd, and I had to bring a list because I do have a lot of legislation, but the limited liability for park volunteers is big because we look at the mounting costs for DCNR to maintain our state parks, which have only continued to see more and more people using them, both in-state and out-of-state. That is House Bill 33. I would like to see that move. It made it all the way to the Senate through Senate committee last session, but failed to make it to the floor for a vote. I'd like to see that one move forward because it's important. I've introduced House Resolution 174 that would study our rural transportation needs, especially here in Indiana County and rural areas. We have so many people that want to get to work, need to get to medical appointments, even need to get to the grocery store, yet we can't meet those rural transportation needs. And I know we have a great system here in Indigo, but we want to take a more comprehensive look to see what other options we can have to help people in rural areas. a bill to help borough police hiring, to streamline that process, to raise the threshold for the need for civil service testing to hire borough police, which is obviously right in the heart of community safety. The Fair Broadcasting Act that would help you guys as far as broadcasting local sports. So, I could go on and on. There's a long list, but I work hard to push legislation that I think helps our communities, helps our small businesses, helps our families. And again, it's really frustrating me that these bills aren't even being considered because, let's be blunt, they're Republican bills. It just, I want to stay positive. I'm always a positive person, and I continue to work with the committee chairs. I know a lot of them. There's behavioral health bills that are vitally important to assess behavioral health needs that I've spoken with the Human Services Chairman, whom I'm friends with. He's a Democrat from Philadelphia, Representative Steve Kinsey, and he agrees these bills need to move forward. Why aren't they?
Yeah. That broadcasting one is particularly bothersome to us for obvious reasons, but the way the PIAA is tied up with this NFHS is it's just disturbing.
It really is, and it's something that we need to address. And I think that bill would do that, but we have to have those discussions. And when we're not meeting, when the committees aren't meeting, we are not having those discussions. So I think it's important that we put aside this partisan, political, headline-grabbing politics and start doing the work of Pennsylvania.
All right, so let's get to the budget. The
Yes.
Senate, of course, they did get back to Harrisburg. They did pass some bills, but it really was a two-pronged approach for them. Where does that stand in terms of the House? What would you like to see happening? What do you see that would actually happen?
I'm still processing all of these. These are big bills. One's a physical code, and the other bill is addressing some of the Lifeline scholarship discussions that have occurred. It puts additional funding in the EITC program, and I think that those are good bills. They contain a lot of good, necessary items, but I think they're going to hit a roadblock with the House Democrats. A lot of these things, especially the Lifeline scholarships, which the Senate changed to Pennsylvania Award for Student Success, the House Democrats have already said they're not moving that forward. And as you probably know, the governor line item vetoed that out of the budget bill that did pass. So that's a point of contention that I think is going to continue to be a point of contention, particularly when no one is willing to sit down and discuss how we move these things forward. House Bill 1300 is the omnibus bill that basically allocates a lot of the funding for some of the things that were put forth in the budget. So I think that has a greater chance of moving forward, but still there's things in there I think that are going to need to be discussed, some things that aren't in there that should be discussed, some of the things that should be funded that weren't included in that bill. So there's still a lot of work to do, but again, we have to be in Harrisburg doing that work, and I don't see that occurring right now.
All right, so you're not getting to Harrisburg anytime soon, unfortunately. Well, you actually will get there soon.
Yeah, and and so people understand, when the majority party controls the House, they control the calendar, they control when we're there and when we're not, and that's the frustrating part to me.
Yeah, all right. So while you're back here in our area,
Yes.
you're attending events, you're helping with legislative issues and concerns that people have. You're meeting with folks. I know you were at the fair last week,
Yes.
and you had a good time there.
I sure did.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was there every day but two, and it was great. We had a table, interacted with a lot of people, attended a lot of events, of course participated in the cheese auction and the youth livestock auction. I think the Indiana County Fair is just such a tremendous asset for our community and county, and it brings in so many people, and it seemed to me like the turnout was exceptional. The weather cooperated, so I applaud the fair board and all the volunteers that put that together.
Yeah, and that's one event, but you get out and you visit with folks, and you see when you put out the weekly thing of what you've done and the people that you've gone to see. It's not just for the enjoyment of the event that you go to meet with people and to hear from them, and that one-on-one contact is pretty important.
It's absolutely important. I enjoyed standing at my table when I could and interacting with people, hearing their concerns, talking to them about what we're trying to do to expand broadband access, help people make ends meet, lower costs, work on property taxes, all those kind of discussions that we have on a one-on-one basis. And I think it's so vitally important to hear directly from the people that I represent.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so we're running out of time, and we've still got a little bit of ground to cover.
Yes.
What would you like to see happen when you get back to Harrisburg? Of course, you've already said that there are some things you'd like to see move, but
Right. I'm going to continue to stay positive, Todd. I have good relationships with most of the committee chairmen. make them aware that these bills need to move, why they're important. I continue to reach out, and they're cordial. They understand, and I think that we will see some coalescing of an effort to move these bills forward and other bills that are important to Pennsylvania. So I'd like to see us sit down and talk and have frank discussions on what's good for Pennsylvania, not what's good for a particular political party. And I just want to add, this weekend is we're going to be at the Ox Hill Fair for the youth auction on Saturday. I'll have a table at the Hoodlebug Fest on Sunday in Homer City. We're going to have a presence at Climber Days, and our senior fair is coming up with Senator Pittman on October 12th. So there's a lot of good things happening, and I continue to reach out to our local borough and township officials to understand their needs and what we can do to help them from a Harrisburg and statewide perspective.
Just wanted to get your perspective on this because this is a big issue. Mental health here in Indiana County and beyond is actually going to be impacted positively by the developments at IRMC.
Absolutely.
And we're beginning to see the signs of the new building going up. I bet you that's one you can't wait for.
It's tremendous. As you know, I've been working on the mental health issues since I took office. As I said, I have a number of pieces of legislation that will help move that forward. I am a co-chair of the House Mental Health Caucus, so I'm keenly aware of those needs, and I applaud the efforts of IRMC, not just to help Indiana County residents, but to help our entire region by building this facility. It's a huge step in the right direction to help meet those needs.
Yeah, absolutely. State Representative Jim Struzzi, thanks for the visit. We appreciate it.
Thank you for having me, Todd.
It is the voice of Indiana County. It's WCCS 101.1 FM, AM 1160, and WCCSradio.com.